Hi, I'm Al Lowe, and I'm listening to Adventure Game Hotspot.
Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Cedric the Owl, and if you're going in there, I'm staying out here.
And I'm Al Lowe. I'm about to make a game and put Ken Williams in it.
And I'm Roberta Williams. And
Collectively, we are the Sierra alumni, also known as Adventure Game Hotspot Podcast. As always, Joshua over here, we're Gaming Adventure Game Geek, and today we have Troels, also known as Space Quest Historian. How the heck are you guys?
I'm doing good, although I'm sweaty and disheveled and a bit hungover still.
All right, that's a trifecta of sexiness. How are you doing, Geek?
I'm good. I'm not hungover, but I may be a bit sweaty.
You know what? There's a heat wave going around this world. What is going on?
Well, he has a cat on his shoulder, so that might have something to do with it.
Like, you think my cat's responsible for the weather?
You know what? He looks an awful lot like Mananan's cat from King's Quest 3. I'm just saying he might be evil.
Hey, that is the theme of this show. You don't mess with the cat. You do not mess with the cat. You'll become one.
Its hitbox is unforgivably large, and it will chuck you down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no rumor.
No.
Geek has literally flown, not literally. He has taken an airplane, flown across the pond, and he is now back home in the Ook. How you been? How'd it go?
in the Ook. It was what? Huh?
Not so loud.
Am I talking too loud? Sorry.
You're screaming.
Sorry. This is my podcast voice.
No, that was not your podcast voice.
Yeah, no, it was a lot, like I had to, move everything up. I actually don't have like most of my stuff here, like all of my big box games and everything I had to pack up, and it's kind of in transit right now. It's somewhere on the ocean, I guess. So
you have the
buried
important
with its
things.
home soil. Sorry.
Sorry, what was that, Troels?
Buried with its home soil, so once it gets out,
Well, you got your girlfriend, you got your cat, so now you have some love. So it's not a solo job that we're used to with Geek. So we want to take a moment here and say hello to Geek's girlfriend.
Hello, you want to say hello?
Hello, Geek's girlfriend.
Yeah.
No, she does. She's busy playing The Sims.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, we haven't had.
By the way.
We haven't had Troels on the show before, so let's talk about him for a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your channel, what you're all about, my friend.
By the way, Space Quest Historian knows me from the Adventure X.
Oh, right. So, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's true. Yeah, I actually met Geek and his girlfriend at Adventure X a few years ago before the pandemic hit, and he brought the point and click that picture book that came out.
Yeah, like I've got it up there, and I got Troels to sign it, and like he was a little reluctant to sign it because I don't know, like because you thought that
what does my signature have to do with any of that? I'm just an idiot with a YouTube channel.
Well, yeah, but you're the Space Quest historian, so I think you have the authority to sign it. So
if you say so. And I even had to like debate with myself, what do I actually put down? Do I put my real name? Do I put SQH? I think I put both. So anyway, the whole Space Quest historian, well, just to briefly recap, 60 billion years ago, a meteor struck the Earth. And when I was about 15 or 16 years old, we got on the internet. My dad brought home our first 28K modem, quickly became a 56K modem. We went online. I found a website called Roger Wilco's Virtual Broom Closet, and I was already a really big Space Quest fan at the time. And I emailed the guy who ran the site. His name was Jess Morissette, still is, as far as I know anyway. And asked him if, do you want, can I have your home address? Because I want to send you a proper letter, because this was, so we actually started sharing floppy disks in snail mail to each other and started adding stuff to his site that way, because again, connection speeds were a bit abysmal back in those days. And eventually I decided to just put all of the information that I had in my tiny little 16-year-old brain into a full text document called the Space Quest FAQ, which just became this massive tome of questions and answers about Space Quest. And this was before, you had your Googles and Wikipedias and stuff like that. So it was like the FAQs were a big thing in the mid 90s, because that's how you got information. So that was my and I decided then and there, in a fit of hubris, to name myself the Space Quest historian, given that I am not a historian at all. And I knew fairly much about Space Quest, but that was it. So anyway, long story short, years later, because adventure games sort of fell out of favor at the end of the 90s, Space Quest 7 got canceled on Christmas Eve in 1997. Thank you so much for that. Or was it 98? I actually forgot. A bit traumatizing. So anyway, I just turned my back and left everything, and went to university, got my degree, got married, did what normal people do when they try to have normal lives. And then one day, just for shits and giggles, I went on YouTube and had a look at, I think I just played Gone Home, actually. And the guy who played it was a dude named Jacksepticeye, who is probably familiar to most people who've ever been on YouTube. But so anyway, he did a Let's Play of Gone Home, and I was like, you know what? That actually looks pretty fun. I could probably do that too. So I decided to start a YouTube channel, and just, for no reason whatsoever, not even because I thought anyone would ever watch it. I just sort of did my thing, played some adventure games. It was sort of my excuse to play games again, because I hadn't for like 10 years or something. I didn't know that people had started actually making adventure games again, because now you had digital storefronts. You didn't need publishing companies. You didn't need big boxes and stores and stuff like that. So all of a sudden I just started playing the Charnel House trilogy as the first game, and I had a blast. And eventually at some point I decided I had worked myself up to the level where I could confidently play through the Space Quest games and actually do them some sort of justice. And I decided to play the absolute cream of the crop versions that I could find of them all. I called it the Ultimate Space Quest Let's Play series. So now we're going to put on, because everyone just plays the GOG versions, everyone just plays the normal versions on YouTube. So I thought, no, I'm gotta go full out. I'm just gonna do, Roland MT32 sound, finest graphics, earlier versions that people may not have played, new Rising Sun patch of Space Quest 4, all this shit. So that's what I did. And I even had Danny from Game Grumps do me a very big solid and do introductions for each of the games, which also, helped get some exposure, I guess. He's a very nice man.
So we're talking yellows, pinks, and purples Space Quests. We're talking Roland sound. Oh man. Yeah.
I did version 1.0x of Space Quest 1, which has an infamous Easter egg that was taken out of later versions, where if you type Ken on the first screen, Ken Williams comes out and berates the designers for not being on schedule.
I didn't know that. I really didn't know that.
That's true. Although that also means that the cheat code put in for the slot machine later in the game, when you have to play the slot machine to win money to buy a rocket ship, that cheat code was not introduced until a later version. So I actually had to play the stupid slot machine. So you win some, you lose some.
So we are definitely going to be going over our favorite Space Quest games. We're going to rate them on this episode as we get there. And this is going to be another one that, poor Geek, he's not that big of a Space Quest fan.
No. Although, to be fair, I've only played Space Quest 1, so I can't really say that I'm not like a fan. I just haven't played them.
I played all the King's Quest games. What the hell? Dude.
I know that I'm
friends.
I'm gonna get around to it. I really am.
So Geek has been campaigning to get Space Quest historian Troels here to 10,000. So once he gets to 10,000 followers on YouTube, allegedly he's supposed to play the King's Quest games on your channel. Is that correct?
Oh, but not just play the games, because I already have, and I did some very like sober, very analytical, non hyperbolic sort of reviews, retrospectives on them. Just really a very fair and balanced series of retrospectives on them. But
He's got to play them naked.
What really? I didn't know about this.
I didn't know about that one either. No, but
You got to go with the odds.
oh no, what we're actually going to do is for the 10,000 sub anniversary, if I ever get there, if I don't get canceled in the meantime, I I have pledged to play all of the King's Quest games back to back in the worst way possible. I did the same with Space Quest a couple of years ago, where I played an epic 9-hour long stream where I played all 6 Space Quest games in 16 colors CGA with the wrong sound drivers. We called it the Pain Train. And I've pledged to do the same thing with King's Quest. Now, the major challenge was to get Mask of Eternity to run in 4-color CGA. But I'm happy and slightly discouraged to say that my crack team of nerds on my SQS Discord have solved that little conundrum. So unfortunately, there is nothing holding me back from making good on my promise.
So make sure everybody gets there, and we're gonna, I'm gonna throw this out there right now. How many subscribers do you have, Geek? Approximately.
I have just over like 2,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once Adventure Game Geeks gets to 2,500, how about we say that he has to play all of the Space Quest games? I think the same pain.
I think that will the same. Well, I'm not sure about the same pain part, but I'm prepared to play through the Space Quest. What?
I can hook you up. We had custom drivers made for Space Quest 4. We put in sound drivers from Police Quest 3, which just it's a thing of beauty. We have, however, since perfected the text mode driver that we used for Space Quest 1 VGA, which I'm not kidding. One of my SQH Discord denizens went in and hacked one of the existing drivers for that game, so it will not switch to graphics mode. So it tries to render all the graphics in text mode. So what you get is just a jumble of ASCII that animates on screen. It is so beautiful.
Okay, but like is that I'm not sure if that's going to encourage me to like Space Quest any more, really. I mean, shouldn't I like, for the first time I play them, like, shouldn't I play them as they're supposed to be?
That's fair.
Played?
I think that's fair.
So. Yeah.
Because playing adventure games, once you've played them, if you like a game, you've played them more than once. Why not try to enjoy them the first time, and then just see what else you could do? Try all the variations and everything eventually. So get that in there, and then later on down the line, maybe when you get to 5,000, then we'll give him the Pain Train.
Okay, I think that sounds like a good plan. Actually, like one question I had for Troels is, like, the thing is, like, for someone who supposedly really dislikes King's Quest, you've spent a lot of time like researching and playing and reviewing them, and you also own the big boxes, which is more than I do. So I'm just kind of curious. Like, I feel like you do actually like, King's Quest more than that, right?
Okay, so without the sarcasm filter on, obviously I don't hate King's Quest at all. I think it's an important cornerstone of adventure games. I mean, it practically invented the graphic adventure game genre. Well, Mystery House came first and all that, but still, it's the one that really perfected it. It's the one that inspired Ron Gilbert to invent the point-and-click interface for Maniac Mansion. You cannot hold a candle to the importance that King's Quest had by any stretch. So I'm happy to. I've said it many times. I'm happy to play all of the King's Quest games except for Mask of Eternity. Again, I mean, I would happily do that. And there are other games in this world that are far less deserving of my time and effort.
Oh, brilliant! Okay. Oh wow, that's music to my ears. Thank you.
Well, then I do have to remind you of the fact that the big box versions I own were intentionally purchased as the most awful versions of all time. There are a lot of Amiga versions of King's Quest on that shelf.
Do you really dislike King's Quest 8, or is it that you don't like it as a King's Quest game?
It is both. It is just a terrible, awful piece of shit game, and it is not even a proper King's Quest game to begin with. Now, but the history behind its development is so awful and kind
Yeah.
of heartbreaking. Actually, Roberta Williams even expressed like really heartfelt disappointment. Even said it went so far as to say it nearly ruined her career, and she feels terrible about it. So. I don't take any that's a lie. I take a great amount of pleasure in writing on the game, but yes, it is a terrible, awful game.
See, I do lie on air. I had to tell her that it was an okay game, just because what do you do when you're talking with Roberta and she asks your opinion on it? She probably knows the answer, but yeah. But then she permitted or proceed a word that starts with a P. She proceeded to rack it herself, and yes. So yeah, at that point, why not, right?
Why not? Exactly. It is terrible, and that's why I bought it twice, and I also have the strategy guide, because why not?
Because you're a masochist, correct?
Absolutely. And I am not very frugal with my money.
All those that YouTube's money that you're making has got to go somewhere, right?
Okay, yeah, right, yeah. Okay, let's just pretend I make money from this.
But let's talk about a company that actually did make cash. We're talking about Sierra. We're talking about Space Quest. Let's rank the games. Oh, we're about to. We're going to rank the games, guys. Here we go. Geek, do you want to go ahead and make love with your wife for the next 15 minutes, or your girlfriend for the next 15 minutes?
Sorry.
We talk about yeah. Oh, like she didn't hear that anyway.
Okay, I'm just gonna mute my mic then, I guess.
No, we want you to.
No, keep your mic on for that. I will take my shirt off. I'm ready.
Yeah, it's kind of pointless me ranking the games, like, because I can't. I haven't played them.
Oh, no, your favorite and your least favorite is number one. We already know the answer to that, apparently.
Yeah.
So let's talk with the historian. Let's talk with the expert. Let's go the least favorite Space Quest game.
Space Quest 1 VGA. The VGA remake, also known as Enhanced for systems that didn't have VGA capabilities.
Mm-hmm. So we're going, okay, that's good. Let's differentiate this now. So we're going to choose between EGA and VGA. Are we going to rank each of those?
I would absolutely do so, because EGA, the original from 1986, is a fantastic piece of art, and the VGA remake was a shitty knockoff job done behind the backs of the original creators. So yeah.
Okay, sadly, I have not played any of the originals from the 80s. So I've played all. I played. I do. Yes, but I collect everything. I have like every adventure game. So it's one of those. It's one of those things. I've never actually played it.
It's even the rare box with the screenshot on the cover, because there were two variants of that blue box. Well, that's the one with the screenshot is the rarest.
I've got the other one back there. Back there too. So yeah, my friend played them and I watched him play, but myself, I don't count that. You know, when we're kids, we kind of watch our friends play periodically, or if we're selfish, we play and they watch us. But so I'm going to be a little handicapped here, but I will jump and say Space Quest 1 VGA is my least favorite as well.
Oh,
yes.
From a purely artistic point of view, or
oh, now you're getting specific. You know what? It's because that he hadn't quite established himself yet. When I first played the game, it was one of those things to where it always seems to be the best, the first series or the first episode that ever comes out, because you're getting to know the characters, you're getting introduced to the characters and everything. And I wasn't necessarily down with him as a falling ass backwards into success kind of guy. It worked for me with Guybrush Threepwood for Monkey Islands and everything, but it didn't work for me in the space setting. So I really started enjoying him as he progressed and AKA cheated his way towards the top. So
we're gonna have the debate about Space Quest 5, I see.
Oh, well, I hope.
Well, here's the thing about Space Quest 1 VGA. Ignoring the fact that it was a rush job that everyone involved in would rather sooner forget, except for Ken Allen, who wrote a kick-ass soundtrack for it. But Scott Murphy in particular feels very betrayed by it, really. So ignoring that, what it also does is it.
Well, hold on. Let me interject here. Let's not ignore that, because I'm not aware. And Geek, are you aware of this?
Well, what's
He's
that?
making love to his wife.
Yes.
Sorry, I was busy. What's that?
Can you actually like expand on that a little bit?
Oh, the betrayal thing.
Yeah.
All right. So, Space Quest 1 VGA was made around the same time as Space Quest 4 was in production. So the two guys from Andromeda were busy doing Space Quest 4. And at the time, someone, an executive of some description or other, had this brilliant idea that we should remake all the first episodes of our beloved Quest series because they just don't look as pretty as they do now, with the like completely failed notion that it would be quick to turn around. I mean, graphics don't take that long to draw, do they? And, we already have the puzzles set in place and all that. It was a complete ass backwards idea from the get-go. And what happened with Space Quest 1 VGA was that as the two guys from Andromeda were too busy doing Space Quest 4, it just pretty much just happened behind their back. And once they were actually shown the thing, Scott Murphy recalls that he had to play it, and he had to provide a list of feedback, and he provided a very long list of feedback about things he didn't like and things that he thought were not up to scratch with their original vision for Space Quest and all that. And he was told, sorry, too late in development, can't change any of it. So
Wow.
there it is. Space Quest 1. If you bring up Space Quest 1 VGA to Scott Murphy, I would advise you to stand back. He will start flinging punches.
I wish I could. He's one of the few rock star developers that I've never had the opportunity to interview. So I will stand back once I get that opportunity, which is literally on the top of my goal list. Now, did they get paid for it?
Well, they didn't technically work on it. So, Scott Murphy is listed as producer, so I would assume that he got some sort of paycheck out of it, but not really. And as everyone knows, the designers at Sierra didn't retain the rights to their creations, and it was, I think they just got steady paychecks for it. So it's not like they got royalties or anything. So no, he doesn't even have the financial hoo-ha to fall back on.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry for cutting in there. I just thought that was a neat little
please.
caveat that I might have been, at least to my knowledge, less known than it should have been. So please continue with your train of thought if you can remember it.
I don't. No, it was that Space Quest 1, the reasons why it is disliked by Scott Murphy and me too, really. I mean, I've played it a lot as a kid, but it's that sort of retro 60s feel to it is not at all in keeping with what they had originally visioned for Space Quest, which was that it was as futuristic and comic booky as possible. And this sort of weird retro 60s art style is just a little weird. And they also kept all of the design choices that Scott Murphy himself would agree were perhaps a bit not the best, because they literally just designed Space Quest 1 as they went along. Like Mark would draw a screen, Scott would program something in, and they go, maybe we should like put a puzzle here or something, and it was just like off they go. So with some hindsight and some planning and stuff like that, if they had been in charge of that remake, they could have actually gone in, improved all that. But no, it was pretty much a one-to-one cover with some added flavor text in it.
It was very Lost in Space-esque from the 60s era, like you mentioned. Okay, so go with your second least favorite.
Space Quest 5.
Oh, okay. That hurts a little bit. That hurts. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just kidding. It's very hard to do this sort of ranking stuff for me, because I will happily play any of the games in the series, but I'm gonna pick Space Quest 5 mainly to annoy everyone who loves it dearly. And the reason for that is because it is regarded as one of the best in the series. I think tonally it completely changed everything about the Space Quest series that I loved about the first 4 games. So even though Space Quest 5 is a damn good adventure game, it has wonderful dialogue, graphics, sound, music, puzzles, anything. It is
Characters.
pretty characters too. But that's one of the things that I thought was a little.
Oh, really?
Yes, because Roger is. I mean, the whole point of Space Quests 1 through 4, at least for me, was that he is on his own. No one gives a shit about him, and no one expects him to come out on top. In fact, no one is counting on him at all. Everything he does is, once he gets back from having saved the galaxy in the first game, he's awarded a useless trinket and promoted to head janitor of a janitorial staff of exactly 1. And after that, no one knows that he even does anything to rescue anyone or anything. And we even have a long-standing debate on whether or not his impulse to go to like the Deltor in Space Quest 1 to take on the Sarians and set the star generators to self-destruct, if that's even a heroic act or if he's just doing it out of self-preservation, because he is essentially, as Scott Murphy describes him, a path of least resistance kind of guy, which is interesting because that's apparently the thing you disliked about his portrayal in the VGA remake. But he's not bumbling or clumsy or stupid. He has ingenuity, he has resources, he's just lazy, and he will take the easy way out any chance he can. What I find so poetic about the games 1 and 2 is that it starts off with him taking a nap in a broom closet, and by the end of the second game he goes back to sleep because that's all he wanted. All he wanted was to take a fucking nap.
Do you know what? Sometimes it pays to not hustle. Apparently he lived because he was taking a nap.
That is exactly it. But yeah, so Space Quest 5, great fan game that should not have been called Space Quest. It would, if you called it anything else, it would have been a tremendous masterpiece in science fiction comedy, but it just does not feel Space Questy to me.
That's a wonderful analysis of the game. So I can't really add too much. I will jump to where I have Space Quest 5. I have it as my second favorite on there. I told you actually why I like them, because he has more assertiveness. You know what I mean? He's not, well, he is hated, but people start to like him. He gains respect. My favorite character of all the Space Quest series, I'm trying to remember the engineer, Cliff.
Oh, Cliffy, yeah.
Yes, Cliff. I don't know why, but him just like I'll be right there, just beating everything up, caveman. Yep. And also my favorite antagonist is in that as well. The stuck up, gosh, you're gonna have to help me with the name.
Captain Quark.
Sure. Just because I wanted to punch him in the Adam's apple like the entire game. And it also has my second favorite, a rendition of my second favorite antagonist, the Terminator girl in there as well.
Yeah, the WD-40 android. Yeah, that sequence is here's an interesting plot hole, I guess, or an oversight in Space Quest 5, is that throughout the entire game we're told that Quark is the main antagonist and we should hate him because he has a toupee and he's a bit of a dick. But
huge dick,
absolutely. But
which is often a good thing, but not in personality.
When you think about it, he's as much a victim as anyone else in this game, because he was dirty and was being paid off and all that stuff, but he got mutated, and for his trouble we suck him up into the vacuum cleaner and set him to self-destruct because he's a dick. The people who actually caused the catastrophe, that weird bug alien that was actually paying Quark to dump toxic waste on colonized planets, nothing is ever mentioned of them again. They just apparently jettisoned everything from Clorox 2 and just fucked off and living the life, apparently.
I've literally never thought of that.
Real bad guys never get their comeuppance in Space Quest 5.
Holy moly. I've literally never put 2 and 3 together there. That's interesting. Okay, jump to your third least favorite or your fourth most favorite. I don't know.
Well, and we're getting to the point where you're asking me to pick amongst my children, but
Sophie's choice.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I will probably have to throw Space Quest 6 under the bus a bit because, well, it came out sideways. Honestly, it was a mess, and even if it had like gone through everything the way it was supposed to, it probably would have been a slightly messy game anyway. But yeah, that one had such a troubled development, and what came out was a very mean-spirited, strange hodgepodge of a game that also didn't feel very Space Questy to me. It went in the completely opposite direction of what Space Quest 5 did. It was like the Aliens 3 to Aliens. It just took an absolute mean street turn, and yeah, it came out a little weird. And as for finishing like the last sequel of the series, not the biggest hurrah we could have sent it off with.
Now, I am by no means a knowledgeable Space Quest fan. You know, I played the games and everything. Yeah, shut up. But correct me if I'm wrong. Is that he just did it by himself? That's a one guy from Andromeda game, correct?
Well, Space Quest 5 was a one guy from Andromeda game. That was Mark Crow. Yeah,
oh, really?
They split up after Space Quest 4. And actually, Space Quest 4 was supposed to be the last game in the series. And after they went their separate ways, Mark Crow moved to Oregon to work at Dynamics, and Scott Murphy stayed behind in Oakhurst, California, at the original Sierra offices. And at some point, Sierra decided, well, we need a new Space Quest sequel. It's one of the most popular game series we have, so of course we're gonna need a sequel. And Mark Crow was offered to do it, and he said yes. And so he flew that one solo with another guy at Dynamics called David Sell, who actually wrote all the dialogue. Mark Crow did the design and the story by it, but he didn't actually write it. And Space Quest 6 was actually started by a gentleman by the name of Josh Mandel, who is one of the unsung heroes of Sierra Online. Has ghost written for pretty much any Sierra adventure you can think of from 91 and onwards.
100%. I agree unequivocally.
The original voice of King Graham, except no substitutes. But yeah, that was his baby, and he had Scott Murphy on as a creative consultant. He insisted that Scott Murphy be part of the team because he said, okay, it's really nice of you to offer me to do a Space Quest sequel. And one of the reasons he applied for a job at Sierra was because he was a big Space Quest fan. He wanted to work with the two guys from Andromeda. But in a situation where the original designer is right fucking there, he said, okay, I need Scott Murphy on the team to hash it out with me. And everything was going pretty well until some internal corporate struggles happened. And well, first of all, team members kept getting pushed off the project and shuffled around. Police Quest 4 was in production at the time and ran massively over budget. And in the middle of everything, Josh Mandel just decided he'd had enough and resigned. Just took off. So Scott Murphy was left with the scraps of a half-finished game and had to finish it. And Scott wasn't in a great place himself. He had, at the time, unbeknownst to him at the time, he had ADD and was having a very hard time keeping everything together in his head, and was actually going through depression as a result of that. So he had a lot of sick days, and the whole thing just came out of that. It's amazing the game exists at all, but what came out was, well, less than perfect, I would say.
Shout out to our Ritalin friends. I also have ADD. Yeah. So now you're talking about Space Quest 6.
Yes.
Is that okay? Gotcha. So Space Quest 6 is actually my second least favorite. God, this is really difficult to to quantify here. Or to qualify. I will say that is one of the few Sierra games that I never finished. And I've never had the urge to finish it. I'm talking, I pieced out on that probably a quarter of the way in. And that was my heyday of adventure games too. I was desperately waiting for every adventure game that of my favorites that were coming out. And that was one of them. Paid my $55 for it. It had voices, man. And that actually took away some of the charm of the game, I'd say. So go ahead.
No, that's true. I mean, apart from the return of Gary Owens as the narrator, who is just pitch perfect in everything he does,
Mm.
or did, sorry, God rest his soul. The rest of the voice cast weren't super terrific, if you ask me, either. So yes, and a lot of the dialogue was like one of the big rules about writing game dialogue. And credit goes to Dave Gilbert for actually beating this into my head, but it is to write really short lines so that the people who are playing the game and reading the subtitles don't finish reading while the voice actor is still going through the line. So you have to keep them short. Space Quest 6 did not get that memo. The lines are just bricks of text delivered by people who probably weren't really sure what they were doing, unfortunately.
Wow. Yeah, so nice way of mixing in some Dave Gilbert bragging there. So
Dave is a very nice guy. I don't know why he keeps hanging around me, because our sense of humor is a little I wouldn't say incompatible. He seems to think what I do is funny, but it's clearly not his style of humor. But I do have some good Dave Gilbert stories if you want later on.
well, I think what you do is funny as well. Go ahead with your next game.
Right. Well, after that, we're just gonna say that the first 4 games are the best, and they all share a top spot. I'm sorry. That's my.
You can do that.
I cannot pick. So Space Quest 1, obviously, for being the first game in the series, and doing the anti-King's Quest, which was indeed the intent of it, was to do something that's not all hero goes out and fights the evil dragon and chivalry and riding horses and all that crap. We're gonna have a guy who no one cares about and who's not being counted on whatsoever to be the anti-hero of such. Space Quest 2, a lot of people give a hard time because it essentially is just Space Quest 1 with more in it, but it is, I mean, the writing is so much more refined, the graphics are so much better, the puzzle design is a lot better. It has 1 or 2 fuck you moments, but all in all, it is a much more solid experience than.
It is a Sierra game, so it has to have 4 to 5 at least, right?
Yeah, it's in the contract somewhere. Space Quest 3 is a masterpiece of meta humor. It's the idea of inserting themselves as their alter egos into the game and having the stakes be that you have to rescue them in order to self-preserve is just a stroke of brilliance. And 4 obviously takes that meta humor idea and just completely runs with it. The mere fact that you're not time jumping through years, but in sequels, is something that still cracks me up. And what's really interesting about 4 is that with 3, they were sort of riffing on the hand that feeds them, so to speak. They were riffing on Sierra and internal politics, but in the late 80s in Sierra, things were pretty good. I mean, it was the late 80s, so either you partied with the big boys or you didn't. But when Space Quest 4 rolled around, they were getting a little burned out. They were getting a little, so many, there's so many people on the teams now. Now we've got a whole graphics department, we got a whole programming department. We have to be the bosses, and we were used to just locking ourselves in a room, order a lot of pizzas, and then come out 9 months later with a game. They couldn't do that on 4, so they got a little burned out. And what they actually did was take the piss out of themselves instead of Sierra by the future sequels. When you go into Space Quest 10, you go into Space Quest 12, where it's just one of them is even called Vault's Revenge 2. What they were doing was actually saying, you know what, stop making us do sequels. They're gonna get really, really shitty from now on.
Gotcha. I like that. Let's bring Geek into this into the equation here.
And did you finish whatever it was you were doing? Is she satisfied is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Did you ring the gong?
He's back there with the cigarette. So he mentioned the fantasy games. I kind of just want to pick your brain. You not playing Space Quest. We all choose a type of game that we're attracted to. We choose a type of game or that we are not attracted to. So what is it that you said, you know what? I don't think that's for me about Space Quest.
Right. Yeah. So it's not just Space Quest. It's basically anything that's kind of set in space. I've just kind of always avoided for some reason. It's not because I think space is crap, because I think that Trolls just said something about chivalry being crap or something. But I kind of know what he means though. I like he doesn't like that kind of manufactured thing where it's like, you know, like you could kind of immediately fall in love with like the princess in a tower, and it's like love at first sight, and you got to go and, you know, like they immediately get married and and all of that. Like I'm sure he, you know, I understand that, you know, it's not very realistic, right? And I guess I don't know, like is Space Quest is totally realistic, right?
Oh no, absolutely not. Actually, if you want the honest answer, the reason why I steer clear of fantasy in general and magic, sorcerers, chivalry, people being all gung-ho and heroic is because I'm not, and I've always been sort of a outcasty type person, so I would immediately more identify with someone who is also on the bottom rung of the totem pole, who no one counts on and no one likes, and is just sort of stumbling ass backwards into a victory situation for which he is not rewarded whatsoever. I think the honest answer is that from my perspective, or at least that used to be my perspective, is that the universe is a large, cold, and uncaring place, and if you don't know your place in it, then, you know, escapism like fantasy genres and me going off on a horse with a sword and going, I'm going to slay the dragon, is, I mean, in a realistic situation, you'd have your ass handed to you, most likely by the horse before you even got on it.
You know, that's kind of interesting. And this is kind of a different direction of topic that I'd actually kind of like to explore a little bit here. You know, we read horses. Yes. Donkeys.
What are donkeys? What kind of idiot mad scientist put 2 and 2 together and decided that if you... Never mind. Sorry, carry on.
Their ears are like that big, dude. Have you ever seen a donkey up close? It's freaky.
And they're terrible listeners. I mean, I sat there for a whole hour trying to explain to this
worthless lovers.
Absolutely. Although I hear that the UK is a little more lax on those laws.
Well, and if we didn't know, now we know, to quote that one rapper guy. So I love that. No, that's great. We all read books, we play video games as a way to escape what we're actually doing, the mundane activities of life, or most of us do, at least. You know, some of us choose, apparently like you want to relate to your characters. Some of us want to live in a world that is completely different from our lifestyle. So you're saying that because you never envisioned yourself as the hero type, that you wanted to associate with the character that suits your personality, correct?
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
And am I to assume that it's the same or the opposite for you, Geek?
I don't know. I mean, I never really saw it like that. No, that's actually really interesting. I didn't realize that like that's why you liked it, because you like identified with the character more. Because like I never, you know, I don't see myself as being, you know, like King Graham at all, or anything like that. Like that's not the reason.
Those
that
biceps, man.
Yeah, right. I don't think so. I've just always liked fantasy in general. You know, I haven't really thought deeply of like the reason why.
I mean, I will say, obviously, one of the major drawing points to Space Quest is also the fact that it has cool spaceships and robots and shit. But you know, from
great puns.
That too. But having sort of gone back and sort of looked over the stuff I was attracted to when I was in my teens, and what I have continued to play now, like I told you earlier before we did the show, my 3 favorite games of all times are the Space Quest games, the Tex Murphy games, and Beneath the Steel Sky. It's 3 games that are science fiction in nature and have a protagonist that no one gives a shit about, and who comes out on top despite all odds. Not necessarily for any reward, not necessarily for the fame and the heroism or the princess's underpants or whatever we've got as the stakes, just the fact that he survived intact.
This is a nice way to actually jump off Space Quest here. I'll finish real quick and say my favorite is Space Quest 4, and so is everyone's else. If it's not, then you're wrong.
No, 3 and 4 are kind
This
of
is the
like,
last word.
okay, so sure.
No, obviously I'm open to debate if you agree with me.
Yeah, that
But
sounds like you are. Yeah, it really sounds like we're in for a great debate here.
let's jump over to what you were mentioning. Beneath the Still Sky, Tex Murphy. Okay,
Mhm.
so
Adventure
do
Game
you?
Geek has played none of those either.
Oh no, he's
No, what? No, I've played Beneath the Still Sky and one or two of the Tex Murphy games. Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
you actually have a leg up on this conversation.
so I could see that. Tex Murphy is kind of the you equated him to the drunken brawler type of guy who, he could be tough. If he has to, if an alien's nipping at his butt, I think anybody could be tough. But now I'm trying to think. Robert Foster of Beneath the Still Sky. Now that's kind of the opposite, don't you think? What do you like about Beneath the Still Sky?
What I really like about Beneath the Steel Sky fundamentally is the mood and setting of the game itself. As a protagonist, Robert Foster is kind of gung-ho and wants to do right and all that, but on the other hand, he is in a situation he did not ask to be in, and he is not out to save the entire city from whatever calamity has befallen it. He just wants to get back to where he was. So he's not riding off on a horse with swords and everything. That metaphor is really getting beaten into the ground, by the way. So what I really like about the Beneath the Steel Sky setting is the contrast between the deeply serious dystopian, scary as hell cyberpunk setting, plot, and everything. The plot to Beneath the Steel Sky is actually really dark and heavy, but it also has amazing gallows humor and it has amazing funny dialogue. When it came out, people were like, why is this game trying to be funny when everything is so awful around it? And I thought, no, that's exactly what makes it genius. If you listen to firefighters or policemen, they have the same, because they have to see humor in a very dark and disturbing situation that they might find themselves in. And Beneath the Steel Sky is the same way. He has a wisecracking robot, and he has a sense of humor about what he sees around him. Because if he didn't, he would probably end up in one of those meat lockers at the end of the game.
Very covert humor, for sure. What do you like about it, Geek? I don't think we've ever talked about this.
I didn't like it really. Sorry, trolls. No, like
what do I care?
I streamed that. Like I played that for the first time maybe a year or so ago, and like I streamed it. No, I guess like it wasn't really what I was expecting, and also like I'd heard so many things about it. It's one of those games that like people talk about. Oh, this it's like one of my favorite adventure games. A little bit like Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, which
Don't do it. Don't.
Which a lot of people love, and I also do not like that game either. And I streamed that.
Nice this guy on your podcast.
I'm sorry.
That's why he's here, because
I gotta be honest.
Yeah, well, he's got the honesty there, and sometimes it's good to have contrarian opinions.
Oh, I think one thing we should probably mention is that AGG and I are friends off of the show. So if it sounds like I'm giving him a hard time, it's because I know he's okay with it. Hopefully,
I'm totally okay with it. Yeah, but no, I just had kind of different expectations for it, and what Troels was saying about the difference between this, like the setting and the humor in it, like that was something I wasn't expecting at all, and I couldn't quite get my head around it. Like I thought it was just so weird. I wasn't expecting it to have that kind of humor in that kind of setting. I was expecting it to be more kind of like a Blade Runner-esque type thing, and I absolutely love Blade Runner. It's one of my favorite movies.
Finally, we can agree on something.
Yeah, we agree on that. Brilliant. Okay,
but hang on, it has a spaceship in it.
That's got robots, so
that's
and
true.
Also robots.
Good looking ones.
That's true, but yeah, like there's always exceptions to the rule. So, but no, like I think that was part of it. I also had a really hard time with the puzzles. I kept getting stuck, and I found it very frustrating. I was going like up and down like through the same locations using this like key pass or whatever to go up and down. Like, and I just I did like having the robot companion. I thought that was neat. But yeah, like in general, it just wasn't a very enjoyable experience for me. I actually had more fun playing Space Quest 1 than I did Beneath the Steel Sky. So
I actually love, Trolls said it, the contrast between the setting and the understated humor. It just came out of nowhere so often. It kept you're all the times when it started to get pretty low, in areas that you've been around, running around the same different times, you could always, count on Joey to say something that would just pick you up and keep you going. Very much like Broken Sword. It's kind of a serious setting. However, the dialogue that comes in there, it's much funnier when it catches you off guard.
Same writers, I guess.
True.
So one of the things I really love about Beneath the Steel Sky is also the gradual realization you have that everyone who lives in the city are fucking mental. I mean, everyone is insane, and not just in a funny haha Monty Python-esque kind of insane. They are deeply disturbed, and there must be some reason to it. And once you get to the ending, it just pulls the rug right out of you, right out from under you, and just goes. Actually, how do you pull a rug out from someone? That sounds like a BDSM experience. I'd rather not investigate too thoroughly.
I always just sweep my problems under the rug, and people just trip over them.
And then insert it into so anyway, you get to the giant veiny tentacle layer at the end, and at that point I was just going, holy shit, this game is not fucking around, is it?
Yeah, you're talking about the subway type area.
Yes.
It's been a while since I played that.
I mean, at that point, Joey gets taken away from you, and everything is just out to kill you. And even Foster is completely on his own at this point, so he has no one to crack wise to. And that's the one time when the game just drops all pretense and just goes, and here is the actual, here's now you're screwed. Now you're actually screwed.
Now let's talk about what I consider a terrible game. And I hope it doesn't offend people, but Beyond the Still Sky was just trash to me. Did you play it?
Yes, I did. In fact, Charles Cecil of Revolution Software has been kind enough to write me emails, and I sort of barged in on his time, but he's a very courteous gentleman, and he has given me a lot of his time, and we even had chats leading up to the game's release. Not any huge spoiler territory or anything, but he was adamant that because he knew I was such a big fan of Beneath the Steel Sky, that he wanted to make sure that the tone and the just everything would please hardcore fans as well as newcomers. And unfortunately, and I have said this to his face, so I'm not offending him, hopefully, but he failed spectacularly at what he set out to do, unfortunately. And I wrote him an email, told him exactly why. I said it's a gorgeous looking game. I thought presentation wise flawless, but the character of Robert Foster is a complete dingbat now, and
everyone's a dingbat in that game.
Like, yeah, but not in the fun way like they were in Beneath the Steel Sky, where everyone were totally insane. And it felt like a Broken Sword game trying to be Beneath the Steel Sky game, like a serious cyberpunk game, and it felt watered down, and it just felt wrong. And one of the worst things they did was bring back characters from the first game in situations and contexts that just did not add up. What the hell is Daniel Piermont doing there?
Thank you. It very much reminded me of, and cut in here if you've played it and have something to add on that, Geek, but it very much reminded me of like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. It's like they're constantly paying homage to their past type of games, but not in a good way. It's like, hey, this is an Indiana Jones movie, remember? Mm-hmm. That felt like what they were doing the entire game. Like, remember this great game? Well, we know this isn't that great, but we kind of want to get you on our side. Yeah, what do you think, Geek?
I didn't play it, but from what I saw, like that sounds about right to me. Yeah.
The other complaint is at the beginning of Beneath the Still Sky. you had a reason to go on this adventure. You had no choice, as you mentioned earlier. You're on the run, but they emotionally captured you because they pretty much, we'll call them the bad guys, did this nice little genocide act of his tribe.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So it captures you, you want to get them back. Whereas the beginning of Beyond the Still Sky, it was almost laughable.
This is like, I'm bored, I'm off. I'm just gonna, what?
There's no emotional connection there that would make you want to go travel and go on an adventure. There's this kid that gets, spoiler alert, swallowed up by like this monster type machine. A kid that you have no connection to, really. Like, they didn't build that relationship. Next thing you know, oh man, I got to go do this again. Like, right from the beginning, there's nothing that's driving you.
And if we want to get into spoiler territories, when you get to the end and find out who the main antagonist is, the antagonist had no reason whatsoever to start kidnapping children from the gap because, well, pause the podcast here if you still haven't played the game, but it's fucking Joey. Like the Joey that you left in Union City 10 years ago. He's decided he's going to start kidnapping kids and subject them to mind-altering experiments for what fucking reason? And
because why? Yeah, because why?
And even if the only way to get his, to get the city to run the way he wanted it to was to kidnap children and pump drugs into their brains, why kidnap them from the very place where he was built? At least he should have some emotional connection to that at the start. And here's the clincher. Once you get to the very end and you find out why he's doing all this horrible shit, he leans over and sensually whispers into Robert's ear, "Remember the last thing you told me, make the citizens happy." Bullshit. That never happened. That was a big cheat. That line is never in the original game.
I didn't know that.
That is such a cheat.
Oh, wow. Hey, guys, you're not going to remember, but I'm going to slip something in that never happened. I love it. Oh, man. Wow, now you really just spoiled it for Geek here.
I know.
If I could go one more, in there is some good puzzles. But if you ever get stuck, just use your little remote control thing. I forget what that thing was called, man, but it was every like 2 puzzles and stuff that you had to use that sensor like reprogrammer thing.
Yeah, the Hagama thing. Yeah. And here's the thing about the Hagama thing is that it could have been an excellent gameplay device. You could have used it for alternate solutions to different puzzles. You could have done, but what it actually boiled down to was just move the little stupid notes around until you trigger a cutscene, because there was only one solution and one answer. The problem with that was you had so much freedom in the game world, so you kept barking up the wrong tree, trying to do different shit to stuff, and it never panned out. Nothing happened. I remember piping that incendiary poem that one dude is writing into the earbuds of a technician, thinking that she'd run off and fetch the authorities, and she was just like, nothing happened. Or, so too many options. None of them pans out unless you're reading the designer's mind. And,
I will say, it is a great addition to a game, but not something that you should rely on. I thought that, at first it was kind of neat. I haven't seen them before. But it was just pounded into us. Okay.
Yep. So have you ever played any games?
Any games?
What
do you say? You say?
Tell us how Lord Hyperpants is doing, or whatever that game is.
Who?
Lord
Hyperpants?
Yeah,
what is weird reference to a sex life? I'm not sure.
Is that what you do? What's what we call it when you go to the Ook? That it's called Lord Hyperpants. No, how is the Lord Humperdinck? Or no, that's Princess Bride. What's that game that you're playing?
You mean Winklebottom? You're talking about Winklebottom.
Oh, and I look foolish.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's one game I've been looking. Yeah, I did play. I did just finish playing that. Yes, was it yesterday? We played it.
She's having a cigarette.
I played it with my girlfriend. Yeah, like we've been we were looking forward to it for a long time, like since I backed it on Kickstarter. I love games like that. Like, it's a very kind of British British game, and they talk in a very British way, and like all the characters are animals, and so like I really love that. You know, like that's the kind of game that I like. That's the kind of game I like to play.
Well,
So,
we expect
yeah.
your review coming on YouTube.
I will. I'm pretty sure I will be making a review of it, and I do also need to get through all the King's Quest games, because I feel terrible that like yeah, like you know, Trolls has got through all the King's Quest games and reviewed them, so
Kicking
you know,
and
that,
screaming
like,
too.
right, and so I, you know, like I've got to, I'm using you know, one of his clips in my King's Quest 3 video, which I should have out in the next week or so. So yeah,
I used a clip of Troll. We'll call him Troll. Today on a video that I released about the Space Quest, and so we'll just let you guys take a look at that one. And so yeah, just a picture about how fans were very disappointed regarding Space Quest 7 didn't come out, and so.
Oh, so one thing I should say about Trolls, which I think is so great, is that even when he's like saying, he's like, you know, he's like bashing King's Quest, he's like saying really negative things about it, I still find it really funny. So I it's like well, so
here we are making jokes about your romantic life in a disgusting, inappropriate way,
and I still find it amusing. So I think that's a very special power to have, like to so yeah.
So Geek, let's get to the bottom of this. Just see how deep of a King's Quest fan you are. So did you at all feel weird and awkward how Prince Alexander fell in love by seeing someone one time?
Wait, which part are we talking about? Like
the whole reason why he went on the Space Quest, the King's Quest 6 adventure, because you know he was sitting by himself,
right?
Grandma, or no, probably mom. Who was that? Like that's for King's Quest 7.
Right, yeah. When he sees, well, it's the same in King's Quest 2, right? You know, like yeah, you see a maiden.
They're all different.
Yeah,
they all look different.
Okay, but you know, like yeah, you fall in love. You see a maiden in the magic mirror, and you know, you immediately fall in love with her, and it's like, you know, it's true love. It's destined to be, and all that. Huh?
You mean when he was being a peeping tom of her, looking through the window, the magic mirror window? Did you not feel that? Do you not feel creepy?
No, I don't think that's being a peeping tom at all. Like, you know, I think it's not just a regular mirror; it's a magic mirror. So, you know, that's my explanation. You see, if it's magic, it's all right.
I gotta say, if it was me, I enjoyed the flower girl more. You know, she just goes about her day outside, just la la la. I wish I was in a better, what is it, Snow White? Is that what that was? Not Snow White.
You mean Little Red Riding Hood or Little Red Hood?
The one where she ends up
flower girl.
Ends up falling in love with the beast, right?
Sorry. I'm still thinking of King's Quest 2. Yeah, sorry.
Pardon me, maid. I hope you don't think me forward, but I see that you like roses. I thought you might, perhaps.
Show me yours.
Then you're not a...
virgin.
Well, I thought you were...
a virgin.
Is there anything I can do for you, maid? You look tired and hungry.
I offer you my bed and meat.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
God, I was actually writing. Sorry to interrupt. I'm actually writing a say something nice about King's Quest video, and I had to poll first my Discord and then the public and Twitter, because while I can easily find something nice to say about 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, it is very hard to find something nice to say about 2. And most people just answered the Batmobile, which is an Easter egg.
It's an Easter egg, and I always thought it was so out of place. That, I mean, like that was an Al Lowe joke, right? Pretty much.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really struggling to find something nice to say about 2.
Okay, but you do have a lot of nice things to say about the fan remake, don't you? Because like the fan remake is, I have to admit, the fan remake is a definite
It's great.
improvement.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there are worse ways to spend the summer.
I enjoy that. I enjoy that part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AGG loves being kept in basements.
Right, exactly. That's why I like Phantasmagoria 2 so much, and I always mention it.
So many chains.
Yeah.
So many chains. Can we just briefly talk about the elephant in the room regarding Alexander and his unrequited stiffy? Is that it wasn't so much the peeping Tomness in King's Quest 6 opening sequence, because while slightly creepy, that magic mirror can just go to hell. It is the magic mirror is the peeping Tom, not Alex. But
That's one way to look at it.
but what really killed it for me was at the end of King's Quest 5 when he just sees a slave girl in tattered clothes and immediately drops to his knees and goes, "Hello, can I come visit you?" And she's like, "Yeah, well, perhaps we'll meet again," or something. And his instinct, and he starts off King's Quest 6 just going, "That was the best conversation I ever had."
It's like when we're in like grade school or something and haven't had a lot of attention from the females, and someone actually talks to you, and then you go home and talk to your friend like, "Yeah, dude, there's a connection. She knew my name.
She wanted me, yeah.
Mhm.
Which is why I'm pretty sure, as lonely, desperate, and weird as we probably all were when we were teenagers, we didn't just fall to our fucking knees in front of people immediately after meeting them. Apparently, this is how you do it in Daventry.
Not twice. The first time was I got picked on too much for it, but man, I was the kid with Tourette syndrome. All right, I've kept you guys here for a long time, but there is a subject I would like to broach. There's a subject I'd like to talk about.
No, that didn't rhyme. Sorry, start again.
Mostly because I want to steal it and use it for a video. And this is about, I want to hear some games that is not on Steam, is not on GOG, that you wish was. Let's go.
I had to think so long and hard about this, so I'll let AGG start.
Oh, really? I didn't have to think that long or hard. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, there's like a few FMV games that I really think should be on GOG or Steam. Black Dahlia in particular, which I played recently. I thought it was one of the best FMVs I've played, except for Gabriel Knight 2, of course. Also
Pandora Directive. You put also... Pandora Directive in your mouth.
What?
And swirl it around and then swallow it and then puke it back up and see how you feel.
And so there's that.
Geek is like, wait, whoa, what?
There's also Ripper, although like I really don't like that game personally, but it's a real beast to get running, and so like that would be a good one.
Is it?
Well, I mean, from my experience,
no, you can run Ripper. No, Black Dahlia is the tricky one.
Okay, Black Dahlia is tricky as well.
Sorry, I'll wait my turn.
What else is there? Shivers is not on there. Let's see what else. Wrath of the Gods.
You're a scary dude.
What? Scary? I'm not scary at all. What are you talking about?
You're so cuddly and happy and smiling all the time, but there's a dark side to you.
Well, okay, yeah, that's absolutely true. I do I do gravitate towards like darker themes and stuff like that.
I told you he worships Satan.
Yeah.
Only on Saturdays.
I got other ones, but yeah, like like those the main ones.
That's 4.
Is that 4? Blackstone Chronicles, Nightlong, stuff like that.
That just wasn't a good game. Nightlong, like that's not on my. No,
I thought it was all right. Wasn't it?
All right. So go ahead, Trolls. What do you got?
Well, I cheated on my answer, and we actually sort of broached it here with AGG's pick of Ripper and Black Dahlia, especially. My pick is any game that was made in those dark ages between, let's say, 96 and 2000, when Windows 98 and XP and this stuff, all these Macromedia Director games and all the stuff that is just impossible to emulate these days. You have to either run a VM and have real technical knowledge of it, because anything before that, anything that ran in DOS, you can run through DOSBox. Sometimes you can even just run it in ScumVM, and they reverse engineer all the shit and make it runs perfectly. I'm pretty sure you can get Ripper to run really well because that is a DOS game, but Black Dahlia is a Windows 95 game, and it is really, really difficult to get running. Mask of Eternity had the same problem. Tex Murphy Overseer has the same problem. Why hasn't someone built a DOSBox-ish thing for that period of dark ages? And I'll tell you why. Because new versions of DirectX and graphics drivers and all this shit would just come out every other week, and you would have no way of having any of this run with any degree of success unless you had like the exact type of machine that was released in the same month as the game. So those, and to the point where Josh, you said that, oh, but that wasn't really a great game, so why should that be on a storefront? I know you're just kidding, semi, I guess, but from a conservationist perspective, a lot of these games, especially from the dark ages, mid 90s to early 2000s, are getting lost because either no one bothered backing them up, and because you can't run them. It wasn't until very recently that we got that ScumVM started supporting Blade Runner, which is one of the finest adventure games to come out of that era. But Blade Runner was just a bitch to get running. Had a bunch of timer issues and stuff like that. So that's my one pick. Just anything from those dark ages, shit game or not. From a conservationist perspective, we need to keep all this stuff around, just for no other reason than to remind us why we should never open up Macromedia Dreamweaver or the Director again. Dreamweaver was the website developer thing, wasn't it? Yes. Never mind. But Direct, yeah. So even though Frankenstein Through the Eyes of the Monster is an absolute shit game, I mean, Tim Curry's in it. We should at least still have that. The other pick I have is alternate versions of games. You will not believe how many times people have asked me, do you have the floppy EGA version of Space Quest 4? Because I can't find it legally online anywhere. And no, you can't. It is not. Archive.org does an amazing job of just piling everything they can find onto the site, but you really have to search, and you really have to dodge some pretty dodgy builds of stuff. But I mean, even from just playing alternate versions of the Space Quest games, there are Atari ST versions, Amiga versions. There's the Macintosh versions, which I did a video on, which is just batshit insane for every funny reason whatsoever. There's there's a Game Boy Advance hack where you can play AGI games, and it's just all these different versions are not available. And even King's Quest 5 and Space Quest 4 have had separate releases in 16 color EGA with the graphics redrawn, and some actual effort went into that. And those versions, unless you go on eBay and you happen to have a 3.5 inch disk drive, sorry, to get those things running again, shit out of luck.
And if the discs even work. That's
too.
The trick too.
And that's just Space Quest. I know there are tons of different versions of other celebrated games out there where the versions are radically different from each other. If anyone remembers the Star Trek TOS games that came out, what was it, 25th anniversary, and the other one, Judgment Rights. There was actually a Nintendo NES version of 25th anniversary that has nothing to do with the PC game. It's a completely different game. Yes.
So it's not an adventure though, is it?
Oh yes, it's a top-down adventure game. It's sort of like Zelda, but shittier and with a lot more talking.
Hey, there is no disrespecting Zelda on this podcast. That was oh man, that
he has a horse, he has a sword. Go
a boomerang, a boomerang, dude. Oh man,
he had a sword in the first game. Is it a dagger? It might be a sword.
And a raft. He keeps a raft in his pocket.
Okay. Fine.
And a ladder. and bombs.
God, that is. I will never stop cracking up at the you jam the ladder into your pocket. Ouch.
well,
From Space
well,
Quest 3.
well played. I hate DOSBox. I hate Scum VM.
I'll
Like,
be sure to tell the creator of DOSBox, who hangs out in my SQH Discord.
I'm sorry. Well, it's not. It's you know what? I'm happy that it's there, but DOS was one of those. You want to talk about dark ages, man? That is something that I do not in any way, shape, or form miss. I remember trying to play Privateer on DOS, and just like you have to almost know how to freaking code, which is ridiculous to me. And I don't want to work to play my games nowadays. So
Well, then ScumVM should be up your alley. And DOSBox is more for the experience that some people have nostalgic feelings towards. Now, I don't know what the age difference between us. We seem to be around the same age, I would imagine. I believe Adventure Game Geek has his 13th birthday next month. But anyway, good God, I'm really...
Wait, how old's your girlfriend?
she's younger than me. But I'm in my 40s.
Young love. Oh, you got a 4 at the beginning of your age.
Okay, so anyway, no, we all seem to be around the same age. I have a very nostalgic when I look back on DOS, because when I was 14, 15, 16 years old trying to get games to run, it was almost like solving a puzzle in itself to go in and hack your auto execute and config and get all these drivers into the same sort of memory, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing. But
especially when you stole the game too and didn't have manuals and stuff.
Yeah. So I have fond memories of dicking around with DOS. Now, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, who someone just wants to play the game. I mean, there's a reason why I did my Ultimate Space Quest playthrough in DOSBox and not in ScumVM, because it more closely emulates the experience that I had playing the games when I was younger, with all the caveats that come with that. If you don't set Space Quest 4's CPU cycles just right, then you are up shit's creek. Yeah.
So let me go with some of my choices, and I'm surprised that they weren't chosen by you guys. Lost Files of Sherlock Holmes. Those two from the mid 90s. So we're talking about The Case of the Sarita's Scalpel and The Silver Earring, I believe. Those two are you're not able to get them pretty much anywhere. And again, those are really, really hard for people who don't keep old computers and that kind of stuff around. And the Lost Scalpel is one of the greatest games of all time. That's one of those games that I can play over and over again. And I have such nostalgic feelings for it. I want to play it so badly, but I can't find it anywhere. So there's those two. And if I'm really wanting to beat myself up, I would like to replay the Discworld games.
Okay, that is actually a good. Here's the interesting.
Was that sour or was that good? Did you like those games?
No, you are absolutely correct. Discworld 1 and 2 are tragically awful in every respect except for Eric Idle's voice acting.
They're hard. They're just super hard. I mean,
it's moon logic. It's just batshit moon logic.
Yeah.
The third one,
Noir.
Discworld Noir. Yeah. Was actually pretty good.
It's good.
But ironically, I never finished it. I mean, I have it on my shelf, but I just never got around. There's something about that SVGA graphics style that just turned me off, and I should have kept at it longer, but I didn't. I got lost in it. But yeah, that's a really good game. Also, one of those Dark Ages games that are really hard to get running.
Noir is one of those games that is, I think, tragically underrated. I believe on my top 100, you probably know them more than I do. I think it was in like upper 20s or something like that. But Discworld 1 and 2, it was one of those games that I so badly wanted to like. There's always a game that comes out that everyone says it's great, you have to like it. And I wanted to like it so badly. And I had convinced myself for a while that I liked it, but I could not get, and number one specifically, when I was a kid, I couldn't even get out of the freaking first village until I was an adult.
Mm.
And I just learned. I eventually had to come up and know that it was just a bad game. It was bad. It was bad. That's not true. I think it was a good enough game, but not what I wanted it to be. Let's
It
just
was
go there.
I mean, the presentation was fantastic. The voice acting, of course, you can get Eric Idle to do. Rincewind was a stroke of genius. I mean, the graphics were nice. They had Terry Pratchett's blessing, although I guess he wasn't really too keen on it after the fact. But the puzzle design is just what absolutely kills the first two games. It's one of those read the designer's minds kind of games. I've only finished the second one, weirdly enough, and I don't know why. Played the first one a little bit, and after having finished the second one and going back to the first one, you just go, oh, please God, no more.
Two is better than one. There was a lot of things I enjoyed about two.
Yeah,
I can't remember them.
But it kind of felt like they were trying to do a Monty Python game, and they were stuck with a Discworld license. I think it might have.
It was Monty Python. That's what it was, for sure. I don't think anybody would argue against that. Well, is there anything else that you guys would like to talk about before we head on out?
No, I just want to deeply apologize to AGG and hope he'll still talk to me when we hopefully see each other at Adventure X next year or in Seattle this year.
Oh, right. Yeah, like we're seeing each other at PAX West, aren't we?
Yeah, if they'll let me in. I don't know. Some horseshit or whatever, but I mean, if they don't, I'll just hang out with you outside.
Okay, sounds good.
They're gonna let you in for sure. Come on. And in fact, Adventure Game Geek and I are gonna do a podcast there. You guys, would you like to join us for it?
I would
Okay.
absolutely love to.
Awesome.
Can we do it in the convention floor at the actual panel and just interrupt him? No, I'm just kidding.
That would be something, wouldn't it?
Sit down on the corner stage and go, hello and welcome to the show.
Welcome back or welcome front. Oh, Ron Gilbert's going on stage. So before you go up there, heck, can I talk to you real quick? A quick link here. Come on.
A little aside. Come on. You don't want to be sitting up there. Come on. Come over here. We have Iron Brew.
We have Dave Gilbert's friend, Dave Gilbert. Come on. You don't want to go up there.
Ron and the other Gilbert. Yeah,
that's right. The Rons.
The Ron. No, I'm actually. You had in your show notes that we should debate whether or not Space Quest or King's Quest were the best series, but that's gonna be terrible because, as I have alluded to before, I don't actually hate King's Quest, and AGG has never played Space Quest, so that would be pointless.
Right. Yeah. I feel like we've covered that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you my answer. King's Quest. I'm not ashamed to say King's Quest. There was
why should you be?
Six specifically was just fantastic. And I'd say that Space Quest was the only one that truly I absolutely came up close to the level of adoration as King's Quest 6 would be Space Quest 4, but it wasn't really that close. And so yeah, King's Quest is very top heavy, or Space Quest is very top heavy in my opinion.
I mean, I'm gonna be, this took me a long time to learn, but one of the things I had to realize is that my adoration for Space Quest and the sort of games that I gravitate to is based heavily on what we talked about at the start, stuff that I can either identify with or stuff that I can stuff that resonates with my worldview, so to speak. So for me to get into a debate about whether or not you should play King's Quest or Space Quest, I'm not an arbiter on that decision. It's what you like you said, we read books to watch movies and stuff, play games to escape, or we choose to see ourselves in the character. People that consume entertainment for a variety of different reasons. And while AGG is wrong in every respect on what games he enjoys, he is still very much entitled to that wrong opinion. God, why? I told you this. I wasn't at the best of my.
I didn't realize that you felt that way.
I don't. I love you, man. I really do. Here's okay. So AGG, bless his little heart. He actually, when this whole panel packs thing happened, he actually took the time to phone me in the middle of him moving from across, from the US to the UK. Actually took the time to phone me up and say, dude, that sucks. I'm here.
I did. I did. Yeah, and it was like the middle of the night for me, and it's like one of those things where I felt like very strongly that this, it just wasn't right,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just wanted to to call you up and say that to you personally. So
and that was so terribly sweet of you, and I thank you so much for that. And I'm so glad we didn't cover that topic, because that would have been a terrible way to end the show.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, Geek and I actually learned about that like pretty much on the air, right? We were talking with Marcus, right? Or right before.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't know anything about it, so
Kind of hit us dumbstruck a little bit there, but one of those things that I'm sure that you're going to get through just by putting one foot in front of the other. And I'm glad that you came on the show today as well.
I loved being here. It was great, and I look forward to seeing you guys in Seattle.
Yeah, we'll have to have you on again. Geek, take us out of here.
Huh? What's that?
Best co-host ever.
Take us out of here, Geeks. Hey, Trolls, take us out of here.
Right. This has been a fantastic pleasure. I'm so glad you guys were here to join me on my show. I would like to thank my guests, Joshua and AGD, for being here. And you can find the show at some Twitter account that I've forgotten, but you can find me at SQ Historian and on youtube.com/SpaceQuestHistorian. And you guys might want to do a little like where to find us kind of thing at the end.
Well, first things first, let's cover Space Quest Historian's on his way to 10K. Let's get him there. Adventure Game Geek is on his way to 2,500. Let's get him there. You can find this podcast anywhere you consume your podcasts. You can find Adventure Game Geek on YouTube at Adventure Game Geek, and on Twitter
and on Twitter, Point and Click Geek. That's right. Yep.
I've always wondered about that. Was Adventure Geek taken, or?
It was just too long. So like, I would have to have been Adventure Game G, and so and I changed it. Like I. So.
On that, guys, we're out of here. Adventure Game G. Take care, guys.